which I'm sure is going to be a little controversial. And I'm sure we're going to get a little bit of a discussion going here. Yesterday, it got brought up, came out on the news that there is a new movie coming that is based on a Vietnam War drama that is going to do a digital James Dean. Now, at the time, I didn't even make it a topic because I thought that's not a big deal. Mostly because it's probably, I just assumed, I didn't read this, I just assumed in my head, I just assumed that James Dean, the individual, is a part of that story, and they're going to CGI James Dean, which raises some ethical questions, but it's really not all that far removed from CGIing a young Princess Leia in Rogue One, or a young Governor Tarkin in Rogue One, or something like that. What's that?
Peter Cushing being brought back.
Yeah, Peter Cushing being brought back. If they're supposed to have James Dean in the movie, then sure, CGI James Dean. Why not? What's the difference, I thought, between CGIing him and getting an actor and doing all sorts of prosthetic makeup to just make him look like James Dean as much as possible? But that's not what they were doing. No. What they're actually doing is this. So this is the thing from over at the Hollywood Reporter. So here's the story right now. They actually needed a character for this movie. It's adapted from the Maria Sova from Gareth Cocker's novel Finding Jack. Is based on the existence and abandonment. This actually sounds really good. Of more than 10,000 military dogs at the end of the Vietnam War. Dean, quote unquote James Dean, will play a character named Rogan, considering a secondary terror. Now here's what the filmmaker said. We searched high and low for the perfect character to portray the role of Rogan, which has some extreme complex character arcs, and after months of research, we decided on James Dean, said Ernst, who also produces the movie and all that kind of stuff. So what they are actually doing here, which is not what I thought at first, what they're doing here is, no, we need an actor to play this role in this movie, and we need James Dean, so we're going to create James Dean to come in and do this. Now, there are a lot of people very upset about this. And I'm going to say something a little bit unpopular here, all right? Get over it, everybody. It's technology. Get over it. It's technology. If you can recreate James Dean and put him in a movie, then recreate James Dean. What, you want to go back to the rotary phone? Do you want to... Bullshit! No, this is bullshit! You can't take a dead actor and put him into a movie. This is complete and utter bullshit. What the fuck are they thinking? Sorry, I don't want to swear as much, but this is preposterous. This is absolutely, utterly preposterous. James Dean is dead. He's been dead he's been dead longer, almost as long as my parents have been alive. This is, and you know what their justification is? Here's what their justification is right now. Their justification is, well, you know, we got permission from the estate. Who the hell cares? Oh, so a bunch of people who probably didn't even know James because he died 50, 60 years ago, who stand to gain financially from more money coming into the estate. Oh, they gave their permission. So that's totally cool. This is preposterous. I can't even believe we're having this conversation. Obviously, look, and again, I'm all about technology. I worked in CGI. I love what we can do with characters and all that kind of stuff. And again, I think there is a massive chasm between the difference of, you know, oh, James Dean is a character in this movie. Let's kind of recreate. I can see that to a degree, but even then I think there are question marks saying, well, we searched for an actor to play this role and we just knew James Dean was the right guy. What? Seriously, like how is anybody accepting this now? Not surprisingly, a bunch of people in the Hollywood system are coming out, everywhere from Chris Evans to Tobey Maguire and everything, are coming out on social media right now saying, what the hell are you doing? This is absolutely nonsensical. This is absolutely stupid. They should absolutely not do this. And I don't know, maybe I'm overlooking some inherent benefits of this because, you know, the filmmaker later on in the same article goes on to say, I want to read this because it's going to sound horrifying at first, but listen to this. It bears reading out. It says, this opens up a whole new opportunity for many of our clients who are no longer with us, said Mark Rosler, CEO of CMG Worldwide, which represents Dean's family alongside more than 1,700 entertainment, sports, music, and historical personalities, including the likes of Burt Reynolds, Christopher Reeves, Ingrid Bergman, Neil Armstrong, Betty Davis, and Jack Lemmon. Added Ernst, our partners in South Africa are very excited about this, as this technology would also be employed down the line to recreate historical icons such as Nelson Mandela and tell stories of cultural heritage significance. Now, what they're talking about in the final paragraph there is, again, a little bit in the idea where I think is a bit of a gray area case. Like, you want to recreate a scene with Nelson Mandela, so do you go and get an actor that just looks like Nelson Mandela? Do you digitally recreate Nelson Mandela? I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I think that's a gray area. But this whole thing about I need an actor, you know what? Jack Lemmon would be great in this role. Yeah, let's get Jack Lemmon. Let's give the people who stand to benefit financially from his estate $500,000, and we'll go ahead and make Jack Lemmon. I just don't like this idea. I don't think it's good. I don't think it honors the memory of anybody. I think this is just bottom feeding kind of shock PR, and I don't think this movie's going to happen. I think they're going to be surprised by how negative the backlash of this is. Anyway, Aaron, as an actress who's been replaced by CGI many times.
Yes, it's true.
Aaron's actually not here right now.
I'm not.
She's still in Atlanta. I just digitally recreated her to be here. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, am I missing some inherent benefits of something else? How do you feel about this, particularly as an actress?
Before I go into it as an actress, because I think you can probably guess how I feel about that. As a film fan, I look at this and I say, oh, wow, this movie totally sucks. Because there is no reason why any self-respecting filmmaker would CGI, would deplete their budget that they would be spending on actual humans who are alive right now, deplete their budget to pay the estate of James Dean if they felt like they had a worthy film that stood on its own. They don't. So they're relying on a gimmick. This is the only thing. In fact, do we even know the name of this movie? I don't.
Finding Jack.
What is it?
Well, it's based on a book called Finding Jack. So I can't remember what the actual name.
Right, but that's the thing, is that we're not talking about the film itself. All we're talking about is the fact that they're replacing what would be an actual human character, an actor, with the CGI of James Dean. And then that goes into, okay, well then what role does the director play? You know, is the and there's so many jobs that are going to be lost if this is something. Now, this is a conversation that has been happening in Hollywood for a long time. I mean, the SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union I have a magazine that they sent out last year with the whole headline on the cover talking about the deep fake. Of course, CGI, digitally creating actors and using their faces and their likeness and stuff. Because the reality is, there's no reason why this is going to be exclusive for people who have passed on. I mean, let's face it, if I'm Scarlett Johansson, as an example, and I'm busy doing this other film, but then a low-budget film whose script I approve of, because it's not, it's not a terrible script, it's just not necessarily something that I would want to do with my time. If they're willing to pay me to use my likeness and I can be in 2 or 3 or 10 movies at the same time, why would I pass that up? And so therefore, if someone has the opportunity to use the CGI likeness of Angelina Jolie or Scarlett Johansson or Julianne Moore, why in the hell would they go and actually hire me or any of the other hundreds of thousands of working actors that are around the world? And it not only takes away those job opportunities for the actors themselves, but also the hairstylists, the makeup artists, the stand-ins. Like, there's so many jobs that will be lost from the entertainment industry, not just the actors, but everyone around the actors. And I also think that it's really just kind of a gross misinterpretation of the artistry of creating a film. Everybody has a special part that they play. And if you take out one massive part of that, everyone suffers. And ultimately, the film-going fans. If you want to see a gimmick, go to the Wax Museum.
Here's the thing that confused me, though. They're like, we needed to find the perfect person for this, and it's James Dean, but it's not James Dean. That's the thing. It's not James Dean.
It's not James Dean.
It's going to be a digital thing you make to look like him, but it's not him. You really need the right actor. Well, you're not getting him.
And not only that, you're going in order to get certain, because I know that I believe it was Marlon Brando, but I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on that. There is an actor who passed away, but before he passed away, he had every potential facial expression like videotaped or caught on camera, because he had this idea that in the future this is what they will be doing, and I want to make sure that they have every potential. James Dean only did 3 movies.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of facial expressions that he just doesn't show from a particular angle. So as crazy as this is, I can't believe I'm saying this, James Dean's performance will be limited in this production.
It's heretical. This whole thing's heretical.
Because what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to hire an actor who's going to have all those little miniature ping pong balls all over his face. And that actor is going to have to, just like Andy Serkis, they're going to have to find an Andy Serkis for James Dean.
Yeah, and they're saying they're going to base it on these photos we have. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's still not James Dean. I don't know. Chris, you heard about this whole thing. What do you think about it?
Oh, I think it's absolute nonsense. And I'm so glad you brought up Andy Serkis, because if you guys will indulge me, he talked about this kind of thing about a month ago in an interview, and the quote is so good. The ability to create photorealistic characters, to digitally de-age actors or digitally resurrect performances from actors who have passed raises some serious issues. When your performance becomes data, it can be manipulated, reworked, or sampled, much like the music industry samples vocals and beats. If we can do that, where does the intellectual property lie? Who owns authorship of the performance? Where are the boundaries? And I think this is such a good question to be asking, especially in light of this. I think you guys are nailing it on the head that this can't be a very interesting movie if this is the thing we're talking about. It's ridiculous to say we can't find an actor capable of being in this film. Do you know how many out-of-work actors there are? And it's not because they're not talented. They haven't been found yet. Go run around Los Angeles. There's so many dudes who look like James Dean, if that's really what you want, guys.
Yep.
Like, that's an aesthetic out here. But really, I do think the whole IP issue here is very, very fascinating, because then in this case, we know that it'd be the estate who owns, this performance of sorts. But then what do we do with our residuals? What do we do with awards? Where does it end of where the data and the artistry come together? Are we going to now have a subsect of awards for people who digitally recreate and mimic these performances? With voice acting, it's a different thing because sound-alikes are important, obviously. But we're bringing life to animation. We're not bringing a human being to life. So it just feels oogie, for lack of a better well-rounded argument here. It just feels bad in my stomach, and I don't like it. I don't like anything about it.
I like that you bring up the IP as well, because, it's one thing if while you're living, if now that we have this technology, there probably will be something that in the will or whatever of people who pass on, that they're able to say, I do not allow my likeness to be used in future productions. But we don't have that. Betty Davis would never have been okay with this, ever. And just because someone is running her estate, John, you're absolutely right. They're lawyers. They're people who never knew these people. They don't know their intention. They don't know their artistry, and they have no business other than their own financial gain to say, absolutely, yes, my client would be okay with this. And the fact that the CEO person actually admits this is going to be great for us. Yes, because nobody has cared about any of your dead clients for decades. And then now all of a sudden you're seeing an entire new resurgence of your industry. I think that's disgusting. It's gross.
And correct me if I'm wrong too. Robin Williams, didn't he do a hold on his likeness for all Aladdin projects?
I don't know, to be honest with you. But like, the bottom line here for me is that it is inherently dishonest. It's inherently dishonest to the art, to the audience, to the business as a whole. It's an inherently dishonest thing. Now, look, I don't lament the fact that you can make an argument there shouldn't be digital music because it'll put all the record store workers out of work. Well, it did, but industries and technologies and what happens in our industries, jobs get lost, jobs get added, all that kind of stuff. But at the heart of it, it's just the lie. It's just the lie. It is inherently gross, and it's inherently dishonest, and there's something, again, I will use the word heretical. There feels something really heretical about this. But anyway, guys, I'm sure there's a lot of different opinions on this. Question is, what do you think about this whole, we're going to digitally create a James Dean to play the role in this movie? What do you think about that? Jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys.